All right. Good morning. Good morning. I know everybody's excited, but we are going to go ahead and get started. And as we get started, by the way, thank y'all for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause. Woo! All right, who came from far away? Raise your hand, you came from far away. Yeah. All right, how far is far away? Right here.
El Paso.
El Paso! Woo! El Paso in the house, baby.
Who else?
Albuquerque.
Albuquerque! New Mexico, baby. Who else came from far? Bernie? We got Bernie in the house.
Arizona.
We got Arizona in the house. Anybody else? Horseshoe Bay? Arizona, baby. Georgetown. Round of applause, come on.
So we came from the famous South Austin.
What's up? What's up? So you guys are in for a treat. You already know this. You're in for a treat. How many of y'all have seen Kevin Kauffman, Fred Weaver, and Curtis Johnson perform? Some of you, okay. And you're back for more punishment. All right. So I just want to give a quick introduction to them, and then I'm out of the scene. I'm going to let them have the show. These guys absolutely rocked it. I flew to Phoenix, Arizona a couple months ago to watch this here presentation presented by other people that weren't as good. We'll edit that from the video. And so, but really, this is truly about four simple steps to freedom. How many of y'all want to be free? Raise your hand. How many of y'all have a freedom number? Okay? Freedom number. We're going to talk about that today as well. They're going to talk about that. So just a quick introduction on how I met Kevin and Fred. 2009, I joined Keller Williams Realty. I was recruited there by Gary Keller. Many of you have probably heard this story. By the way, we got any mentorship masters in the house? What's up? Woo! What's up? All right. So our group is mentorship masters, and then we invited some other friends because we call them our cousins. You know, they're not in our group, but they're our cousins. So, hey, it's all family, right? EXP. But in 2009, I was on stage at a family reunion event, and I was up there with these guys and I was, back then, I would wear my little tie, my sport jacket, my boots, my cowboy hat, and I was stylish, you know what I'm saying? I didn't have the flowery shirts back then.
Yeah, he's still rocking.
We still think you look good, bro. All right. So, but then I saw these guys in shorts and shirts and flip-flops, and we were rocking on the stage together. We didn't know each other at the time, and so, but we built a great friendship after that. It's been a 12-year friendship. They called in 2018. No, was it 2018?
2018.
To tell me about EXP. And I didn't want anything to do with it. I said, I'm good. I'm not good, I'm great. I'm happy where I am. I want nothing to do with EXP. But I hadn't looked at the model, right? How many of y'all were ever at that place where you hadn't really looked at it, you just weren't interested? So that's where I was. But fast forward, I won't kind of give away the whole story, but fast forward, I looked at the model, and I was absolutely out of integrity staying where I was. I couldn't stay where I was knowing what I knew. I had an internal conflict for 100 days until I joined. It took me 100 days to do the research and due diligence. But our friendship goes way back. They've been at our house at least half a dozen times, maybe a dozen times. We've been at their homes, at least Fred's house. I've never been invited to Kevin's house for some reason. Yeah. I don't know why that is. I just you're gonna put me in the shed now. Huh? All right. But I love these guys. And then Curtis Johnson, this guy, I let him have it about a month ago when we were at an event, and it was not even purposeful. I was just like, man, how in the world I'm doing all this work to build my revenue share group, and this guy doesn't do. I use the word jack shit. and I don't know where that came from. I was like, I don't understand it. This guy doesn't do anything, and he's got 5,000 people in his group. And I'm over here building funnels, and I'm doing a YouTube channel, and I'm doing all this stuff. And I'm looking at Curtis, I'm like, man, what do you do? And this is what basically what it is. He's going to show exactly what he does and how he's built to 5,000, and how Kevin and Fred have built, they're gonna show how they built to 1,000 people in just about 36 months. I think Curtis has been about 48, maybe
39, 40.
39 months?
Yeah.
Man. Anyway, $250,000 a month in revenue share that he's earning. And he's gonna share the simple steps. Somebody say simple.
Simple.
It's the KISS method. What's KISS stand for?
Keep it simple.
Oh, I'm stupid. Keep it simple, sweetheart. Or keep it super simple. So with that, let's go ahead and bring up the stars of the show. Curtis Johnson, Fred Weaver, and my man, Kevin Kauffman, my sponsor.
That's right. Who's your sponsor?
Who's your daddy?
The guy that doesn't let you come to his house, is that what you said?
Oh, yeah.
I don't just
Now
let
you
you come
gotta
to my
come
house,
back
we
to
go on
us.
vacation together. Tell these people where we were last week.
Yeah. Oh, last week, so week before last, I flew out to Phoenix, we were hanging out, we did some high level, the Scottsdale Mastermind. And then, as an aside, Fred said, hey man, we're going to San Diego for a week. We got this beachfront, spot, and we got an extra room. Would you like to go? So I'm like, yeah.
You ain't never turned down travel.
No.
Never.
So we just spent a week together, and this man had me eating all the wrong stuff.
I heard.
So I had to come back and put my girlish figure back together.
I got Knolly to have a big old barbecue meal and a giant ice cream all on the same day. It was like my gratitude.
You are not making friends with Josie right now. Just
It was so amazing. We didn't let Josie go because I knew she wouldn't let me eat that stuff. Okay. How you guys doing this morning?
Great.
Awesome. Oh, you just closed that up. Cool. Where do you want to start, man? You want to talk a little bit about us before we jump into what we're going to do today?
Us is like my least favorite subject, but we should probably share a little bit of our journey.
Okay.
So first of all, thanks a lot for being here, guys. Seriously, appreciate you taking the time out today to build your business. I know it's not easy to get out. Like Eric, Deanna, I know you guys are crushing it right now. Jackie and Edgar, I know you are too. Like there's a lot of home sales going on right now for a lot of us, and to step out now, much less any other day, takes a little bit of courage and bravery to go, you know what, I'm gonna do that because I wanna build my business. And today, we're not talking about anything to do with selling real estate. So I just wanna totally set that context now. Are you guys good with that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna, I'll share something with you in a moment in regards to that, because for the rest of the day, there will be no buyer, seller strategies, there'll be no multiple offer strategy, none of that stuff. Like that just isn't this class. We talk about that a lot. We've taught tens of thousands of hours on that stuff. Not today. So today is all about building our future and taking advantage of the most amazing, what I believe is the most amazing opportunity in real estate. And so we're gonna just dig in on that if you guys are okay with it. And if you're not okay with it, that's okay too. There was a time when I really wasn't. August 2018.
Yeah. We were in Las Vegas, I think.
We were in Las Vegas, and Brent Gove was doing an event. It was just slightly larger than this one, not much. And that was our first, we had just signed up at EXP 2 months before. And there was some energy in this room. The energy, it's just a little bit more energy than we had in this room when we first started. And Brent said something from stage. He said, some of you need to think about selling less real estate. And can I be honest? I love Brent. I've known the guy for a decade at that time. I cringed when he said that. I'm like, how could you talk about, what do you mean sell less? No, dude, we are realtors. We actually sell real estate. It's what we do. That's part of the problem with the perception of our company is that that's what we do, is we don't sell enough real estate. And so I just wasn't ready to hear it. And I should have known better because I know Brent. He's an amazing person. If you guys know Vigo, you know that guy's got a heart of gold. Literally, he's tried to hand Curtis Johnson gold bricks before. The guy has a heart of gold. But where he was coming from is let's take our eyes off of right now in the next 30 and 60 and 90 days and build something for the future, which I think takes a lot more courage and a lot more bravery than just the next deal. Now, I don't want to minimize, because this is where I was we need to talk about the next deal in some cases. And so if you are a newer realtor or you're struggling and you haven't been consistent with transactions, that's probably needs to be your focus. And then when that is set, like then this is the class to talk about, okay, now that we've got our primary stuff taken care of, we're gonna go here. So I cringed at the moment, and then for 2.5 years, I did everything wrong. I did everything that Brent and Curtis said not to do, and everything that Fred said to do, which by the way is always wrong. And then finally, like, have you guys ever, who's had a coach? Raise your hand if you ever had a coach, that you, whether paid or not. And then you don't have to keep your hand up for this one, but who's ever had an experience where the coach said, hey, I think maybe you might want to try doing this thing over here, and then you didn't do it?
That's me.
Okay, all right, so,
Every day.
and then maybe they suggested it again, a week, a month, whatever later. For some of us, slower like me, a year later, 2 years, 2.5 years later. And then you're like, all right, fine, I'll try. Like, Knolly's a good coach, I'm just gonna do what Knolly says. I'm gonna give it a shot, because maybe he probably doesn't know what he's talking about, because he doesn't understand my business, but I'm gonna give it a shot. And then you're like, damn it, it worked. The laugh tells me you've done that, you've been there. Okay, so that's our EXP story, which we're gonna hopefully share with you today, and just say, I hope you can open your mind up a little bit to learn from that, learn from our mistakes, and go faster in your journey with EXP. And anytime today that you're going, that just doesn't feel right, just trust that it works. Trust whoever asked you to come here today cares about you and has seen some power in it. Because when I finally started doing what Curtis said and taking more of his advice and what Brent Gove has been telling me since the day we joined this company, things started going a whole lot better. Maybe it's a coincidence. I happen to think it's because it's actually, there's a lot of power in 4 simple steps, which we're going to share with you today.
So I think you just said we're stupid, we don't follow directions really well,
I just
and then
tried
you
to-
made some joke at me.
I
and-
said
okay,
it
all right,
because
just trying to
he
catch
would
up
have said
here.
it that way.
Alright, perfect. I'd just like to summarize where you're going.
So, all right.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I think I would like to, let me ask a question real quick. How many of you in the room have residual bills?
Like the same bill comes in every month.
Wait, so, yeah, some of you guys don't have like a cell
For
phone
those
bill.
of you who don't, I
have
would
a-
like for you to talk to me outside afterwards on break, because I want to learn that trick too.
All right, every hand in the room should be up. There's not, I mean, if you have a cell phone, you have a residual bill. They can charge you for it every
Mortgage,
month.
rent.
All right. So now here's the question. We all have residual bills, but do we all have residual income? We've been so trained in our environment to accept that residual bills are okay, but in the real estate brokerage world, when we start talking about residual income, like, oh no, that's dirty. Like, we can't talk about that. No, I mean, like, profit share is okay, but revenue share is not. I'm in Austin, right? I can say that?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
You might get struck down when you walk outside, but you can
That's
say
okay. Knolly, next time we do a class here,
They just do it
there's a
on
title
Mopac.
company on the first floor of the building that this small real estate company has on Mopac Expressway. Can we get their training room?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Kingdom Your Eyes on the second floor. I'd like to do an EXP class right there on the first floor. Would that be okay?
It takes them a while to get it
I know.
right.
All right, okay, cool.
Josie's
I don't know
trying
what
to
title
go on.
company it is, but I know they have a small training room there. I think we should do our next event right there. It would just bring me
Let's do
joy.
it.
Sorry, that was a total tangent. Okay. Anyway,
I know where you're going.
So here's the deal. Like, really, do we all have residual bills, but do we all have residual income? Right? And Knolly mentioned earlier today that, like, we're gonna challenge you guys a little bit today. We're gonna push on maybe some belief systems that we've all had around residual income, or some walls, some blocks, right? Because I think every one of us in the room, if we really sat back and asked the question, like, hey, 10 years from now, do I want to be doing exactly what I'm doing today, or would I like to have maybe some money that's coming in a little bit more consistently? That, not saying that I don't have to sell real estate or I won't sell real estate, but that maybe it would just ease a little bit of the pressure to have to go out all the time and create income. I mean, it's one of the things that, you know, Brent Gove's big on this. You mentioned him earlier. Like, you know, it's like, how many real estate, you know, how many houses did we sell as a team last year? A couple hundred, right? But guess what? Like, how much money are we gonna make in 2021 off the houses we sold last year? Yeah, 0. We gotta go out and recreate it again this year, right? And I think it's one of the beauties that's been presented to us at EXP is this idea that we could actually do some activities today that would pay us this year, pay us again next year, pay us again the year after that, and then as Curtis is gonna come up here and talk about in a minute, would actually start duplicating upon itself. Like, think about that for a minute. Like, Yeah, we take some listings, and sometimes we get a neighbor that will then want to list their house with us, but it's not like an automatic. It's not like I wake up one day and I'm like, oh, hey, the neighbor just put their home in the MLS and listed it under us, right? But I can recruit an agent to EXP, wake up a week or a month or a year later and go, oh, that agent just brought 3 more agents in. Like, this model duplicates the revenue share. The residual income has the ability to continue showing up and growing in a way that our transactional business does not.
In 2017, we as a team sold 550 homes, and that was the most we had ever sold to that point. You know, it's funny, we also paid our brokerage the most we'd ever paid before. It's kind of funny, they actually made as much money almost as we did from selling 550. I don't know if you guys know that there's a lot of work and sweat and blood and tears that go into selling 550 homes. And there's people that sell way more. I'm just saying that from our perspective. And while at the time, we were making decent money from it, it was big. We were getting all of the award, like there's not that many more awards to get. You can sell, I know people that sell a lot more homes. But from like an industry recognition standpoint, we were as recognized as you could be because we had sold so many homes. Fred and I were about as unhappy as we could be with our business. I can't think of a time in our business, even in 2008 when we were just starting and we didn't make any money for a few months, like literally none. We were happier then because we knew like there was a light at the end of that tunnel, right? When we were first building. But in 2017, like we knew we were unhappy at our brokerage. We knew that we had big overhead. I'm embarrassed. I won't even tell you what our monthly bills were. Just, like, I'll say it this way: we had to sell 27 and a half homes to not lose money a month. Okay, so don't get me wrong, we made money, but the risk to return was way too low for my appetite, especially for the amount of time and effort we put into it. And at the end of 2017. Is when, well, it was actually most of 2017 we really started looking. But one thing I really want to highlight is we got all of the awards. Like, we were highlighted everywhere, but we felt freaking trapped by our business. I don't know if anybody else has ever felt that way. I know a lot of realtors that feel that way, but they got all the plaques, they got all the awards. Isn't it funny that our industry like gives awards for that crap? Isn't that funny that that's the thing that keeps us on stage, that puts us on stage? It's like when you have an actor who goes on stage, like, and yeah, you can make a lot of money. Like, cool, Liam Neeson gets paid $10 million for being in a movie, right? He's a great actor, he's got the accent, all that stuff, he shoots people, he's great.
I have no idea who you're talking about. That's
Liam, Taken. Take the movie.
No,
Taken.
still no idea. That's not the one.
Well, Dave Matthews doesn't make movies, so like.
No, I did watch some basketball last night. Did you watch some
No,
basketball?
I did not. I don't even want to talk about it. So, it was a great evening. It was a great evening. Kenny Gallagher, just kill it. So
We do
anyway,
just about everything together except watch the Lakers versus Suns.
My-
Gotta
my-
stay in business with each
my
other.
whole point here is this, guys, a great actor, Liam Neeson or not, can make a lot of money for being in a movie. We made a lot of money for selling a lot of real estate. So no one would, if I shared with you what we netted that year, no one would feel bad for us. Yet we felt trapped. Just like no one would feel bad for Liam Neeson or Devin Booker for making $20 million a year or Liam Neeson for making $10 million a movie. But Robert Sarver, the guy who owns the Suns, and whoever owns the studio that makes those movies, makes a hell of a lot more money. They just don't get the awards for it. But they give us awards to keep us on stage. Like, for me, that's where we're at as an industry, and I think it's terrible. Because it's designed to keep us on the wheel, to keep us, like, it's a better trap, it's a better race, but it's still a wheel, it's a hamster wheel that we're all on as an industry. So then in 2017, Curtis Johnson walks into our office, and for context, we've known each other for almost a decade. We met June of 2008. And he's like, guys, I know we've talked before about going into business together. We've talked about opening a title company. We've talked about merging our sales businesses. Nothing really worked out. He's like, I think I'm gonna move my company to, I'm gonna move my team to EXP, and you should come with me. And as I said earlier, like Fred literally just said hell no. 2 words, hell no. That's all he said.
I think I took like quarter of a second to think about it.
You did. And then you said, hell no. You waited another quarter of a second and said, I'm not going to that company. I was like, yeah. And I've honestly, Fred expressed it. I felt the same way. I really hadn't even looked at EXP at that time. Curtis went on to EXP, 30, 45 days later. And he's going to share that part of the story here in a few minutes. And we're a little slower. We're just, again, I told you guys, like, it takes me 2.5 years to learn what my coach says, and Curtis learned it a lot faster. And so June of 2018, it was really May of 2018, we sit down for lunch with Curtis, because again, we've got a long-standing relationship. We're like, dude, what do you think of EXP? The one thing Fred did say is, if you like it, tell me about it in 4 or 5 months. Hopefully it's all that you hope it's gonna be, because I want that for you. And at the time, I mean, Curtis may or may not share this with you, but he wasn't loving the real estate business. He realized he was in the same trap that we were in. He probably just realized it sooner, and so was less happy about it. And what we noticed in Curtis was like, he was alive. The guy came alive, and he literally reverse aged. I mean, I could physically see that he looked 10 to 15 years younger, and that was like not even talking about all the cool stuff EXP has. So anyways, he shares that with us, and I think I made my decision that day at lunch, although we had 2 more meetings over the course of the next week, and within 30 days, we had taken what had amounted to almost 100 people, and moved them to moved about 60 of them to EXP within 30 days. And we'd have gone sooner, except one of our very key partners was out of the country for the whole month. Otherwise, we would have gone sooner. So it's almost exactly 3 years ago to the day that we made the move. And I'm just gonna tell you guys flat out, it's the best business decision we've ever made by a mile, like not even close. And it's just because we've taken advantage of the opportunity somewhat. Like, we've just started to tap into it. So hopefully we can share with you some of the things that have worked for us, and we'll share some of the things that have not worked for us too.
So silently, just so I can hear.
You
run
can
this
use
for a
it,
second.
so it's got battery, and I just was trying to conserve it.
Oh, cool.
Nope.
Look at that technology. All right, I'll come back to that in a minute. This is our friend Casey Council. That's a really blurred image.
That's a PC.
Yeah. Anybody know Casey? Casey's married to Rick Jiha. Kevin and I, goodness gracious, I don't know when we first met.
2009.
Met Rick, yeah, maybe
Shift tour.
2009. There you go. She is a master. I want to play like a 10-minute long video, but it's probably too much for you today. So I will make sure you guys have a link to it later today. But I want to pull something out of that video that Casey said. Okay. Casey said this. She ended with this, but this is what she started with. She said, "Recruiting is not a dirty word." And I think for a lot of us, when we, like, again, as Kevin said, we're not talking about real estate sales today. That's a little weird to sit in front of a room of real estate agents and say that, because that's not traditional. That's not what we're used to, right? But recruiting is not a dirty word. And for me, this is a battle I've been going through for 3 years now. Some days I wake up and I'm like, I'm a recruiter. Anybody feel like that? Yeah. And then other days I wake up and I'm like, gosh, I don't want that person to like reject me. I don't know what they're gonna think about me if I tell them about that. Like, I don't know if it's good. Like, do I really care about them, or do I just want them so I can make some money? Like all this internal battle that goes on. Maybe I'm the only one that has that internal battle, okay? But some days I wake up and I'm like, I'm a recruiter, and I'm all excited about it. And then other days I wake up and I'm like, I don't even want to talk to anybody about EXP today because somebody yesterday told me it was terrible, and maybe they're right. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure, right? So it's like this internal battle. So Casey, over the last few months, she kind of just learned this like a couple weeks ago. We were in a room and she was in, we got to present, and I was like, you changed my life, like, with this quote. Now, I have to like reread this almost daily, okay? But I'm gonna read it to you guys. A recruiter is someone that cares enough about another human being that they're willing to sit down and have a conversation about what's going on for that person, what's working in their life and their business, what's not working, what can be improved, what are their hopes and their dreams, and then positioning as the resource to help them get it. When I heard her say that, like, I remember I listened to this video one day, you came back from lunch or something like that, and I was like, dude, you gotta listen to this, right? I was like, Casey just freed me up. Like, I've been worried that recruiting was all about me. It was just like, how do I get that person, that guy, that gal to come over to EXP, right? Like, I gotta go get them. I gotta go fish, gotta go get that shark, go get that whale, whatever. And she just totally changed this for me. Like, recruiting is about caring about people, finding out where they're at, maybe what's missing, where they'd like to go, and then helping them figure out a plan and a path by which they could go and accomplish those goals and those dreams, right? And then positioning yourself as being part of the resource to help them get it. And I don't know about you guys, when I heard her say that, I was like, man, like EXP is full of so many resources. I'm not saying EXP is the solution for everybody, but I will say this, I don't know, like the room we're in today, the room we were in yesterday in Houston, like there's not smarter people in the real estate industry than the rooms that we all hang around in my opinion, that can't solve any problem on the planet that an agent may have. And so this just completely freed me up. And so today, like, if you have a little hang up around the word recruiting, and Casey says like EXP was cute, they put attraction on it, right? But attraction's all about us if you really think about it. Attraction's like, I'm gonna be great enough and shine bright enough that somebody's gonna wanna see what I'm doing and they're gonna come knock on my door and I'm gonna attract them to me. And I'm not trying to rip on EXP on that, but it's soft language because a lot of us have a bad connotation around the word recruiting. So today, I just encourage you to open your mind up a little bit. We have this saying, you want to tell a story about broccoli for a minute? I know you love broccoli, but we tell the broccoli story for a minute.
Who, let me ask this. Who either has kids or was a kid? Okay, so, some of you were born at the ripe age of 45. That's cool.
The ones that didn't raise their hands don't have residual bills either.
So, okay, now, maybe it was you, maybe it was your child. Could have been you as a child, could be you today. The first time you were presented a child with broccoli, like, was the response like, not so much, or like, yeah, give it to me?
Not so much.
Not so much, right? Okay. And then you either said or was said to you, just try it. Has ever heard that? Has that ever been part of that conversation, right? So some of what we do today, we're gonna think of it as like broccoli. You don't have to like it, you don't have to agree with it. You might think it's gonna taste bad, but then maybe it doesn't, maybe it's not so bad. I'm not here to say that broccoli is the most amazing tasting food on the planet. That's not, but we can all relate to that on some level. I know a lot of people eat broccoli, they like it. If you put enough ghee and salt on it, I like it too. But so, here's the deal. Sometime today, I'm gonna say broccoli or just try it. That's all I want you to do is just think about that. Like, we're just gonna do that. One of my early mentors taught that to me and I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. We're gonna talk about broccoli. So occasionally today, I might say broccoli to you when I see you respond in a way of like, without trying something, or you might wanna just cue yourself like, okay, broccoli. I actually had to use that for myself on something 2 days ago, that had nothing to do with recruiting or EXP, but I was like, hold on, I gotta just try this. So,
love it. All right, I think we're gonna do this. We're done for the day, you and I, right? Okay, no, all right.
They're relieved. I'm relieved.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it, buddy. Knolly already did a really good job of introducing him, but I just want to say Curtis Johnson has absolutely changed my life. And there's not a person at EXP that I don't probably look up to more than Curtis. I give him a hard time. We joke around. I mean, as Kevin said, he reversed aged. He's the youngest looking 70-year-old in the room today. And I love him for it, right?
But you're 71 this month too, by the way.
On a serious note, though, this guy's been at the company for about, I think he said 39. I think you're coming up around 40 months now, somewhere in that ballpark. He's been at this company for 40 months, and the results that he's created in those 40 months surpass anybody else that joined the company in the last 40 months, and surpass a lot of people that have been at this company for 48 months, 52 months, 60 months, etc. Right? And when he talks, I listen. That's all I'm gonna say. And so I would just highly encourage you guys to number one, give him a big round of applause here in a second, but number two, plug into what he's saying at a deep level, because as Kevin said earlier, we're not very smart. We didn't listen to him. Like, we joined EXP 6 months after he told us to, and then he told us, hey, you guys should maybe recruit this way, and we're like, we're gonna go recruit this way, so we didn't listen to him for a long time. And here we are over the last 6 months starting to listen to the guy, and let's just say the results are getting better. So when this guy talks, please give him the attention he deserves. He's created some great results, and I respect him a ton. Mr. Curtis Johnson, come on up.